Hello, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobuman. Today we're going to get back to Office 365. We're going to start working Office 365 from tech support point of view. So for example, if a user calls in and they say, I can't access my Outlook, I can't access my Word, Excel, this and that, we can check the licenses, we can make sure that multi-factor authentication is set up, reset their password, things like that. So a functional office working 365 situation where you can actually follow along, which is great for somebody who's doing tech support right now and somebody who is brand new to tech support. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. This is a revival video series for Office 365. If you are paying attention to my channel, you know that I have a bunch of videos on Office 365. But to me, bunch is not more than like 12. That's not a lot in my opinion. So we're going to come back to Office 365 series, and we're going to actually have to fix our Office 365 setup. So here's what's going on right now. You can see that all of these users that we've created, they're all unlicensed. Unlicensed in the sense that they can't use any of the Office 365 products. So we're going to have to fix that. So what happened is that the licenses that I was using, they expired for teaching purposes. So we're going to get back to that. We're going to try to fix all of these. I think we have 25 licenses that we can use. So I got a teacher's license A3, and then we're going to test them to see if it works. Of course, we're going to concentrate on users in this first video, but just like I made the previous ones, you can follow along by getting your own trial version of Office 365. I will put a link in the very first comment below so you can get trial version of Office 365 from Microsoft. It does require a credit card, but I think it's only used for verification purposes. Afterwards, you can remove the credit card if you don't want it to be charged. So that is available to you. You can certainly follow that link. And please do me a favor, since I'm reviving this Office 365 training, in the comments below, please say hello, hi, or present, sort of like a roll call in the class, so that way I know people are interested in this type of content. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and it helps push the video as well. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. Let me show you. I'm going to show you billing here. And don't worry, if you're new to Office 365, this is going to be very easy to follow. And I just want to show to returning people that what happened is that my licenses had expired, but now we got Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty, which is 25 licenses. So I was able to renew this. Okay. All right. So let's go start fixing the users, and we can do this from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So this is one place to do it. The other place is from Azure Active Directory. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to do it in both because we are teaching both ways, right? So, and that's perfectly fine. This is going to be great. Okay. So first, an easy way to do it is to do it through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So this is the first place you log into, and this is done by going to admin.microsoft.com. Of course, you have to log in and this and that. But when you go to admin.microsoft.com, this is where the Microsoft 365 Admin Center is. And we're going to also create new user after we fix the ones that are missing licenses. So these are users that already existing. We use them as part of our training that you could follow along, and every video is going to be connected to that. So this is another reason why I was talking about making sure you get this trial so you can follow along. All right, so I've selected Bob Bobson here and it expanded here to the right side. So now, of course, we're going to go to the licenses and apps because Bob can't use anything unless we have a license added to him. So I'm going to add Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty license to him. And once I click Save Changes here, it's going to apply it. But let's kind of see what kind of apps are actually available with this Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty license. All right, so when I clicked on just below, when I expanded apps, it should tell me what this license does. And here it is. And you can, of course, tailor this. You can customize this if you don't want part of it to be used by Bob. If we don't want Bob to use certain parts of Office 365, we can disable it right here. So here is what's all selected right now by selecting that A3, and he gets access to Azure Active Directory Basic for Education, Azure Active Directory Premium P1, and let's look for some common stuff that we can check. For example, where is our, there's a lot. Here's Microsoft Teams. I'm hoping I'm not missing Power Apps. There it is, Exchange Online. I must have missed it. Like it should have been on top. I should have gone by alphabetical order, guys. All right, all right, no problem. Anyways, we got it. Exchange Online, Plan 2. Now, I'm not sure what this Plan 2 means, but we're going to log in as Bob and we're going to check that out. So I'm going to save changes. Okay, so we've done this for Bob. Let's do the same thing for somebody else, and then we're going to come back and log in as Bob to see if that Outlook works, if the Outlook works. All right, so we're going to do it the same thing for, I don't know, let's do this for Jasmine. Jasmine Long, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do this through Azure Active Directory. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to look for Jasmine Long in Azure Active Directory, and here's our Azure Active Directory on the left side. We're going to expand users, right? We're going to expand users, and we can search for Jasmine Long right here, and we could have searched for Jasmine Long in the admin center as well, but you know, we don't have that many users, so we can just find her. And here she is, Jasmine Long. We're going to select her. And here it's slightly different, but it's not that much confusing. You still have a tab here where it just says licenses. It's just slightly different position. We're going to select that. And it says here, no licenses assignment found. So we're going to click on the plus sign. We're going to add assignment. We're going to add that Microsoft 365 8.3 for faculties. So here's kind of what it looks like when we expanded those 45 applications. And here's the same thing, right? Here is the same thing, same options that Bob had, everything this and that. And again, here is that Exchange. Where is Exchange? Am I blind? This is not alphabetical. This is why I missed it. Right? It's not alphabetical. There it is, Exchange Plan. It's not a, so that's something to keep in mind. It's not alphabetical order when it comes to Azure Active Directory, when it comes to these apps. So this time, Exchange Online is actually listed really, really far on the bottom. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're going to save it. So now we have Jasmine and Bob with the same type of licenses. Now they should be able to use all the things that are listed in here. And we're going to certainly test. You know, we may not have access to certain things, but it should be, because this is a training license for faculty so that it can be trained in the class. Okay, so what was the next thing I wanted to do? We wanted to check to see if Bob Bobson can get to his mail. So if we select Bob Bobson, I'm going to select mail here on the right. See how it extended again? So select Bob Bobson, select mail, and it says here we're preparing a mailbox for the user. So there's a couple of things that may have happened here. Is that Bob Bobson never logged into his mailbox, and for those reasons we don't see a mailbox in here at all. That's what usually is the case. So chances are we haven't logged in as Bob in the previous videos at all. So that's fine. Once we log in for the first time, this is going to appear, and it's going to have the information for the mailbox. All right, but we're going to have to test this. And you know, I don't remember what Bob's password was. So we're going to have to reset his password, and we're going to do it right here. And of course, you can do the same thing in Azure Active Directory, but we're going to start from here. We're going to reset Bob's password right here, and we're going to, you know, you can tell it to do automatically create password, or you can just, you know, tell him what do you want. And let's see, it says here require user to change the password when they first sign in. You can certainly do that. That's very typical, and that's something that most companies do because of security, right? And then you can also tell it to email the sign-in info to me, meaning Bob, right? Here is his email address. But you know, how is he going to get to his email? How is he going to get to his email without able to unlock his email with his new password? So I'm not going to do email. I'm just going to do require a user to change the password when they first sign in. This is what I would typically do. But since I don't feel like changing the password for him now, but this is what you want to do. Make sure this is checked normally. This time I'm not going to do it because I don't have time to mess with all that. So I'm just going to put in password, just something. And let's see, hopefully it takes it. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to try to remember it. So password has been changed. Now I'm going to tell Bob over the phone, usually over the phone. I'm going to tell him, Bob, hey, this is your new password, and then he's going to get a prompt to change it. And again, I made sure that I don't have to change it on his behalf this time, but normally you would want to. So I'm going to open up a different browser, and I'm going to try to log in as Bob. All right, so here we are at login.microsoftonline.com. We're going to log in as Bob. Looks like I've tried to log in before with him into something, so that's okay. We got Bob at cosmicnovo.com on Microsoft.com. So that's his login ID. So if you go back and double check, you can say, Bob, here's your login ID address. All right. So here's your login ID address. You can use your email address to log in. So I'm going to click next, and then it's going to ask me for the password. I'm going to type in the new password. Now it's probably going to force me to use multi-factor authentication. And here it says Microsoft has enabled security defaults to keep your account safe. And, I can select next and set up multi-factor authentication, or I can skip for 14 days until it's required. You know what? Let's set it up. So here is the thing. In order to set up multi-factor authentication, you will have to install an app, which I have on my phone. And mine is just Microsoft Authenticator, but you can use other apps as well. So mine is exactly the same one that I'm using. It's Microsoft Authenticator, and you can download it on your iOS or your phone. So here it is. Here is the code if you want to set this up. So if you're following along, you can get this, right? I'm using the one that's on Google Play, but you can also get it on on the App Store for the Apple phones and stuff. So I have mine installed already, so I'm going to click next, and it's going to basically let me set this up so that way I can use the Authenticator. You can use Authenticator for multiple things. So here is the scan code. I'm going to use my phone to scan this. Okay, just a moment. I'm trying to, here we go, add account on my phone. And I'm going to add a work account on my phone. So that's what I'm doing. I know you can't see it, but that's what I'm selecting on my app. So if you're following along, that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to click scan a QR code. So again, add account, and then you select the work or school account, or you can do a personal account. Doesn't matter. This is just for multi-factor authentication, but I'm selecting work or school account, and then I'm going to select scan code, and then I'm going to allow my phone to scan this. All right, and now it's activating. I've scanned the code, and now I have authentication number, which is a randomly generated code, so that way I can log in as Bob. So I'm going to click next. All right, and the code I got, and actually now it's asking me on the Authenticator if I approve the sign in. I'm going to say approve, and then I've confirmed it on my app. And then now I have randomly generated code that I'm going to use, and it's called one-time password code as well. And see, now it approved automatically. Notification is approved because I've selected it on my phone. And it says here, Microsoft Authenticator app was successfully registered. I'm going to select done. And well, I guess it didn't ask me for the first time. I guess that's one way to verify it. But I do have a code here that it's just one-time password, so maybe next time I log in, we're going to have to use that. All right, well, here we are. We're logged in, so it doesn't matter. But now you know how to set up multi-factor authentication for the user. So if the user calls in and I need help setting this up, now you know how to do it. This is very important when you're doing tech support. Tech support like help desk, desktop support. Anytime anybody needs help, it could be your manager, it could be CEO, it could be a director, vice president, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You can help them now. So what did we want to check as one of the things? Let's see Outlook. Outlook email, see if it's working. I don't think I've ever logged into Outlook with Bob, so I don't think there's going to be anything. It's empty. It's empty. But now let's kind of reflect back and see if anything shows up under mail. It's probably going to take 24 hours to update this, so, well, maybe not. Well, here it is right away. I was wrong. Usually it takes 24 hours for certain things to update, but now you see how it was just updating, and now we have information for Bob's email because we've actually logged in for the first time. All right. So let's do the same thing for Jasmine. Now, here is Jasmine. We're going to go back to users. I'm going to find Jasmine again, and we're going to log in as Jasmine. Of course, we have to reset the password, and to do that, while we have Jasmine Long selected, we found her in Azure Active Directory. It's actually done right here. Very similar to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So it's right here, reset password, and it's going to be slightly different when it comes to options, but the location itself is, the same. So here's a temporary password right away. It doesn't give you other options for what we shown before. And here's for comparison. If I go to here, Jasmine Long, and then select reset password, I have more options when it comes to admin center, which is why I prefer to do it in here. And I also like the dark theme. That's really cool, and it gives you more options. And the most important one here, in my opinion, is require this user to change the password when they first sign in. However, Azure Active Directory doesn't do that. It just gives me a temporary password. That's okay. Let's see if we can log in as them. Now I'm going to log out as Bob. All right, I'm going to sign out, log out, sign out, whatever's preferred method for you to call it. And let me, while that's happening, let me go back here and get Jasmine Long's email address, because we're going to use that to log in for her Office 365 work. And all right, I'm signed out as Bob. Come on, go back to login. All right, well, I guess it's not wanting to go back to the login, so I'm going to have to specify login.microsoftonline.com. I'm going to select use another account, and we're going to paste Jasmine Long's login ID. So we're going to click next. However, we haven't changed the password yet, so we're going to have to go back to changing the password. And here it is, reset password, and copy the password that we have, which is Wuku5226. And all right, let's do this. And we're going to use that password. I just did a paste of it. And now it's actually forcing me, right? Where it was forcing me. So that's good to know. And this time I'm not going to save the password in the browser because I have to change it. So I'm going to use the same password that we've just used, which is that Wuku 5 something something. And then I'm going to create a new password. And I have to type it in twice. So why is this happening? Why is this different? Because Azure Active Directory is actually related to regular Microsoft Server Active Directory, which is related to the domain logins. And this is directly tied in if your company is set up to use a domain login and it be the same as your Azure Active Directory login. So you can set this up so that it's directly tied in and is part of your domain. So Active Directory, if you are familiar with Active Directory in a regular sense where you have Microsoft Server 2016, for example, 2019, it's completely separate from Office, but when they came up with Office 365 setup, where you can use Office 365 on the cloud, meaning on the internet or online, right? It's the same thing. They came up with Azure Active Directory, which is also cloud-based. But in this case, Azure Active Directory is also acting as a domain, quote unquote, domain login setup. So it's based off of that type of style, off of that architecture in the sense. However, it has the ability to add licenses and deal with Office 365. So they made it so it works with Office 365, but is very reminiscent of regular Active Directory. So this is why it's doing that. All right, I'm going to sign in. I've changed the password. I'm going to sign in as Jasmine, and then we're going to just kind of quickly go through. And notice this one didn't ask me for Authenticator. So I'm assuming here that Authenticator probably works on the computer level, which is something I didn't know. I thought it was going to also ask me to set up Authenticator for Jasmine Long. Let me just double check my Authenticator app on my phone, and I'll tell you which ones I already have set up on my phone. And I have Irvin, I got Sally Mo, and then I've got Bob. I do not have Jasmine Long set up on my Authenticator, which is unusual, but it's something that we can certainly double check and enable in Azure Active Directory. So that's okay. Let's see if multi-factor authentication is enabled for Jasmine Long, right? And here it is. We're already here. We already have found Jasmine Long. The last thing we did was reset the password, right? So I'm just going to close that over here. And here is authentication methods. This is where you would set up multi-factor authentication for somebody who doesn't have it enabled. Very important, especially if your company requires you to do this. So we're going to select authentication methods, and then we can say require and re-register multi-factor authentication, or we can select revoke MFA sessions, but we can say require and re-register multi-factor authentication. Okay, then we're going to select that. Operation complete. Now let me see if it's actually going to force it, and it really should, because that would be kind of embarrassing if it didn't, right? So we're going to sign out again. And matter of fact, let me see this. I'm going to close this browser. I'm going to reopen it. And the reason I'm doing this, just to make sure that it's not browser based. It could be browser based. Anyways, we have Jasmine Long already in here, and we're going to try to log back in with Jasmine. I'm going to save the password this time because, I don't, well, here it is. Help us protect your account. Microsoft has enabled security defaults to keep your account secure. So looks like we did enable it, which is good. And now it should ask us for authentication. Here it is. Same deal. I'm going to select next, setup. I'm going to scan the image on my app just like I did before. I got my authentication app open, and I'm going to go to add account, and I'm going to select the work or school, scan QR code, and it's activating. Please wait. All right, I'm good on my end, on my phone end, right? My smartphone has done its thing. My app has done it. And now I get a pop-up on my phone that says approve sign in. I'm going to say approve. Okay, and now it's going to approve it on the screen. There it goes. I'm going to select next. I'm going to select done. And now we have enabled multi-factor authentication for Jasmine Long as well. Now here's something that comes up: stay signed in. Do this to reduce the number of times you're asked to sign in. This is good if you're on a trusted device, meaning that you are using a device that's, for example, something that you are going to be the only one using it, and there's nobody else who has access to it. So if you work in an office, right? If you work in an office and you always lock your computer when you leave your desk, right? Let's say it's an open office where everybody can just walk by somebody's desk. If you forget to lock your computer sometimes, or this and that, and there's a chance they will stay unlocked, you can say no to this. But if you're going to lock it every time and nobody else is going to use your computer, you can just say yes, and you can say don't show this again, and you can say yes. This will reduce the amount of times it's going to ask you to sign in, which is helpful, right? And just make sure you do it on a secure in a secure environment and on a secure computer. Okay, so let's just kind of browse here. She has access to Outlook, and let's look at the other things she might have access to. Yeah, let's look at OneDrive, this and that, just to make sure that everything is fine. This is something you would do with the user. Hey, just check to see if you have access to things, if there is an issue with the license, right? This is the whole point of it. Let's try Excel. All right, looks like it's working. So that is that when it comes to this first video of refreshing Microsoft 365 knowledge. We're going to continue this series given that there are enough people interested in this, of course, right? Of course. I always have to say this so that way I know that my time is used wisely. I'm going to teach people things that are important. quickly, you can check the multi-factor authentication here for Jasmine Long. So if you have Jasmine Long selected right here, right, there's also an option in Microsoft 365 Admin Center where you can check multi-factor authentication. You know, I'm just going to close it because we've already done this. Well, let me see. Let me just see if it's any different. Anyways, this all it does is just lets you enable and disable multi-factor authentication. I suppose I should have talked about this here. And here it's, see, it hasn't updated yet, but we know it's enabled. It shows here that it's disabled. See, that's very interesting. This is what I was telling you about 24 hours taking effect, but I'm going to select enable here anyways, just to make sure it does that. But we know we've done it, right? And we've done it for Bob, but it's not, hasn't registered. So we're going to enable multi-factor authentication. Okay. All right. That's it, guys. I'm going to leave it at this. I don't want it to be super overwhelming, especially for new people who are joining or watching my videos. And I know I said I'm going to create a new user, and I will do that in the next video, just starting from there. It's not that complicated. It's very similar to what we've done here, and we can also do it using templates that I've created, so that way we don't have to fill out some of the other things. So I'm going to save it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to save it for the next video because this is more of a like an introductory one in case of, you know, you're working some kind of a tech support where you get a phone call and they say, well, I can't get into stuff, you know. And noticed how here it says still unlicensed, although I've changed the license for Jasmine Long. Let me do a quick refresh of this. Maybe if I refresh, it will come. Yeah, there it is. It refreshed and it registered that we've made those changes in Azure Active Directory for Jasmine. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.